Hello everyone, just a quick word from your friendly editor/husband. For all of you who listen to So I'm Watching This Show and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. I use the app and love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set So I'm Watching the Show as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes. Again, the app is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device. Thanks!
We will be in black and white for not the whole thing.
You have to talk to Will about that. I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge of that. If we were going to do that, we should have discussed it beforehand and had him be shooting it in black and white and then go put color on it.
That's too much. Kristen, don't be ridiculous.
You know you want to do that now. I haven't seen this movie in 10 years. At least.
Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's episode, we are going to revisit Sin City.
You're like more excited than I thought.
Just every time I say it, play that refrain.
I don't even remember what song you're talking about.
It's in the trailer. It's not actually in the movie.
Oh, okay.
But it is synonymous. It's also on the menu, the main menu. Okay. But this was my Fight Club or Scarface.
Okay.
Or like this was I was 19 years old and discovered cinema. Do you know what I mean? Like, this was my movie.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this with like one of my friends from college and I was like, this looks really cool. Let's go see it. And we were like blown away.
Blown away. It was huge. It was huge when it came out because this was one of the first times that a cast like this has been assembled. Mm-hmm. And that's become borderline the norm now. But I remember my first actual memory of it was we were driving to Disney World. And this was back when I had a subscription to Entertainment Weekly. And I remember paging through it and seeing the poster of Jessica Alba popping my mic.
I bopped it with my book a minute ago, so we're good.
And it was just her and that like explosion of black and white like atmosphere. And it was called Sin City. And this was also at the peak of my obsession with Vegas. So I was thinking it was going to be Las Vegas at first.
Okay.
And then I quickly, because this is before smartphone, it's not like I could Google it in my car on the way down to Disney. And so I found out what it was. I got the comic book.
Like you thought it was going to be a Vegas show?
No, like a movie about Vegas.
Oh, because it's called Sin City. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I got the comic book. I didn't really read it. I have a lot of comic books.
They're right behind you. Fathom.
And I've read Fathom. I read Fathom, but I would buy comic books and look at them and like ingest parts of them. But I was never really, I'm not a good reader, but so.
The only comics I've read are the Buffy comics. And I don't even think they're in here. Well, I've got a couple. Here.
It took some coaxing on your part, too. You were like not having it at first.
I like was following a lot of Buffy people on Tumblr and they kept posting stuff. And I found out that in the like seasons 8 through 12, Buffy and Spike are like canon together. And I was like, well, I have to read it now. And so I did.
You ended up enjoying it.
Yeah. I like those ones.
It's a little bit to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's almost like skim reading and stuff.
Yeah. Plus they actually over here. This is one of my favorite episodes of Angel, and they comic booked it, and it's signed by Amy Acker. She's like, that's Amy Acker. Yeah,
I did have some Hercules and Xena comic books too, because like yeah.
Oh, also, I bought this. Deborah Ann Wall. She does eBay auctions all the time with like signed stuff, and it's for that charity because her boyfriend's blind. It's like some eye disease. I never remember the name of it.
Good plug for the charity you don't remember the name of.
Go find Deborah Ann Wall on Twitter. It's easy.
You do the work on this Sin City episode.
Sorry, I was trying to be nice.
So Anyways, yeah, so I was really excited, and then I saw the trailer, and this was one of those trailers where it, like, I didn't know such things were possible. It blew my mind, and I loved that song. It was called Cells by this, like, Canadian band called The Servant. I was obsessed.
We should do The Spirit.
We've talked about it.
Because I remember that song.
I'll revisit it because its reception was mediocre, but Frank Miller himself directed it. Yeah. Directed it after co-directing this, which was controversial. But no. So I just remember being so hyped for this movie, and I remember going to see it, and it blew my mind. I want to say I was with Rachel and Chris, and we went to the Hoffman. We sat in the very back row. We had a field day. Yeah. It was so cool. And I got posters. I'm so mad. Pretend, for the people listening, just pretend I'm wearing my Jessica Alba t-shirt. It's in storage, but I have a t-shirt of Nancy, like, lassoing and stuff.
It's too bad, too, that you don't have your Brittany Murphy poster that I got you, because it's humongous, and we could just put it right there.
And especially me being 19, it felt like so much just, like, possibility, and it was so adult in a way that I needed and that I craved at that point. And just the noir, like, just how unbelievably, because this was, I mean, I knew what noir was from, like, again, growing up, going to Disney World and stuff. It's like a great movie ride, and
there wasn't any of it happening. Like LA Confidential, but that was like 1995 or 6, and it's just sort of like, this is also accessible in a way that doesn't have to be like an investigator and his girl Friday happening.
Well, and it was just such a complete world. It was such this like completely idealized world, and it really did shape a part of my personality in my early 20s. And I had more action figures. These are the 3 that I still have. The Brittany Murphy one is actually one of my favorites for many reasons. Number one, I actually think it's just a strange, like, an interesting action figure.
She looks a little like Alyssa Milano.
Because actually, I did a photo project in college at Full Sail where I took a picture of this action figure, and all of my classmates thought it was real. Oh. It was, like, obscured in a way. Yeah. That they were like, where did you find that model? And I was like, gotta keep my secrets. I'm bummed because I actually do have Bruce Willis, but he's at home.
He's wearing the coat. Yeah.
It's, like, really blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
And I had the Jessica Alba one, but both of her arms broke. She was
hilarious.
It's like a Nancy DeMilo.
Yeah.
Because she was posed like this.
Oh, okay.
And with the guns.
Yeah.
And I used to have her on my dash as, like, a hula girl because I was, like, obsessed with Jessica Alba at this point. We'll get there. You are such a bitch. We'll get there.
I made a big face.
Yeah. We're transitioning into video. Sorry, listeners. We are favoring the cameras at this point because we know they're there, but we don't know what you'll be seeing of this. Yeah. This is still in our trial, still in our test footage phase. But
if it looks good and my makeup doesn't look too pancakey, we might release this. This is our dress rehearsal.
So, yeah. So basically all of this to say that as much as I love this movie and I reference it a lot, it has been years since I've seen it.
Same. I want to say at least 10 since I've seen it.
I think I might have watched it late at night a good 5 years ago. It could have been 5 or 6 because I had a friend, Vanessa, in college, and Rosario Dawson in this movie reminds me of her. And she was always very flattered by that.
She always dressed like this.
She did not.
No, never.
We're going to go watch it. And one of the reasons why I wanted to record beforehand is because I'm nervous. I want it to hold up. I'm pretty confident it will.
I think it's stylistic enough that it will.
Yeah.
I think I'm like, tons of it is like coming back to me, screaming back to me as we're talking about this. And
I had all the posters, like with the taglines, because Brittany Murphy's was the "Wish You'd Drop By Earlier." Yeah.
So good.
Oh, God. So, okay. So we're going to go.
Yay.
Sin City will be shattered.
Let the girl go.
You know who my father is? You can't do a thing to me, Hardigan.
There'll be arrests. There'll be deaths. Nothing can stop this.
You're making a big mistake. Yeah. You already made a big mistake yourself.
Did we mention your makeup in the previous coverage?
No.
We're doing test footage.
Test video.
So we're still trying things out.
I want to know how much my makeup is so that I can tone it down.
Or sideways or up or whatever.
Well, I don't think I'm going to put more makeup on.
I was thinking about wearing like
some
foundation and stuff.
So we'll have to see. But like, I also then, while we were watching Sin City, I put eyelashes on and I can see them. Like, I'm like,
you're really like weird with eyelashes.
Why?
Ashley Saunders wore them every day.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, those are, you said, what are they called?
They're called daily lashes. And this feels like daily for whom?
Please welcome to the stage, Amon Daly.
I feel like I should, I don't know. Like if I try to wear these to work tomorrow, like seriously?
Not a single guy would notice.
That's probably true.
Not a single one.
Not one man would notice. That's accurate.
And certainly wouldn't say anything.
Andrea, I think, would be like, what the fuck are you doing?
I guess Wikipedia. I mean, I know everything about this movie, but...
Oh, do you know everything?
I know a lot of things about this movie.
You said everything.
Me. So we are back. We watched Sin City. What do you think?
Well, like I said before the break, I think it's been easily 10 years since I've seen this movie. I think it held up.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely still love it. This is the first time that I did watch it slightly differently.
Okay.
I was watching it slightly more critically and with, time and space between. Mm-hmm. So there were a couple of critiques for me this time, but I absolutely stand by my feelings about it as a movie, and certainly contextually my feelings about it, the time that it came out and all of that. So
I don't know. There's things I think that you can sort of like poke fun at, which is like the dialogue and like how over the top everybody is, but that's like
good.
It's so good, and it's obviously on purpose in a way that I think really suits the tone and the style of the movie. So I'm curious what you think held up less well.
Okay. So my biggest issue, I think, with the movie was, now that I'm more familiar with it, it does become a little bit boring. Like I know the parts, and I mentioned that there's like an unedited cut.
Yeah. But
the unedited version is the 4 stories individually.
I don't like that.
Well, but I'm saying I might, because it's like you can sort of watch each piece.
Each thing as it happens.
Because there was a point kind of in the middle where I was like, I remember the scene, and I just went lay to my bed for like 2 minutes. And then I came back and I do think that it is missing a human element that you can just really tell at this point, especially because we've seen this kind of technology more and more. It's become so much more common that I think that there's a slight humanity that's not present in the whole thing. And also, I noticed this time what different echelons the actors are on.
Well, yes.
I didn't notice that when I was young.
Oh. I really did.
No, I didn't.
And I always have.
Yeah, there's different levels.
Yeah. Because, like, you said you were obsessed with Jessica Alba when this movie came out. Mm-hmm. I have. What's that like? Because I've never been there.
Okay.
I think she's just fine. But, like, we had a discussion at one point, and it was before we even started the podcast. And I was like, my problem with Jessica Alba is that she is an actor. That's her job. And she's bad at her job. And you were like, that is something to say.
It was really rude. Like, it was really abrasive.
I think she's bad at her job. It's not, and I don't think she's like the worst actress I've ever seen, but she's not good. And she suits something like this, but even still, she's like too earnest by half.
I think she's a very nice woman. I am a fan of hers as 100%. Person. I liked Dark Angel when I was in high school.
Oh, okay. We've entered the shrubbery maze. We've come to the center.
I liked Dark Angel when I was young, and then she just was. I was very intrigued by her, and this was also a place where I was struggling with what exactly my sexuality meant, and I could find myself attracted to her, so I clung to it. It like meant something important to me.
Okay.
And I later in my adult life determined that that's just a case of mild bisexuality.
Sure.
That I don't need to hold her up as a.
Yeah, I'm also not arguing that she's not a stunning woman.
That she's not beautiful.
She's beautiful, but she is, I would say, the bottom tier of actors in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think that she goes like out of her lane.
No.
You know? I think she's fine in this because Nancy is not a character.
That's true.
Like, Nancy's a prop.
Well, Nancy is like not even the girl on the pedestal. She like is the pedestal.
Yeah. And it's like, well, she's an idea.
Yeah.
And it like, she has a couple of moments, in particular, actually, the moment where she does recognize Hartigan. I think is very like the journey her face goes on. I think is actually pretty well.
I'm not arguing she can't have good moments. I'm just saying, like, it was like there were the early 2000s were a time to be alive, and she was like littered all over stuff, and it was like never was I like, yes, Jessica Alba the actress. It was always like
she was a piece of ass.
There's a hot girl that you need in this movie, and this is the hot girl you chose.
And the thing for me is, I was sort of remembering rewatching this that actually, as much as I did like her when this came out, I was a little bit at war with myself, and I just sort of like. I just chose the bit I was going to do and went with it. But I do remember being a little bit annoyed watching this even at like 19 and 20 and being like, if you pull up the panels from the comic of Nancy, she's bodacious and she's topless.
Sure.
And she looks like Pamela Anderson. Like the hair is really big, which they keep trying to do to Jessica Alba in this, but it only succeeds in making her look like a Muppet.
Yeah.
With the fur coat and the teased hair.
Yeah, so like I think I understand why they went the way they did, because the way that it plays in the movie is more of a girl next door type of situation, and Jessica Alba suits that way more than like and I think because at like 4 different points in the movie you were like, well, he's not wearing underwear in the comic book. And so I'm like, I really think they were trying to get the R and they didn't want to go obviously NC-17 because then no one would see it, although I would kill for an NC-17 rated cut of this movie.
Well, the unrated, I don't think that it's like nudity. I mean,
I would kill for Bruce Willis's dick and balls. Is what I'm saying.
I think the Mickey Rourke one with Goldie should have been, because it would have been prosthetic anyways.
Right.
Like it would have been.
So it's like
it would have been gnarly.
It would have been pretty gnarly.
Really?
Also, in saying that, I do then have to, in my heart, accept that we would have seen Nick Stahl's gnarly yellow penis, and then I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not.
But I think Jessica Alba is fine, and I think she served her purpose wonderfully in the moment.
Yes.
Because she was a big deal at this moment.
Yes.
And I think a better actress a more skilled actress could mine a character out of this.
Probably. Like say they had, because who's really nothing also is Shelley, but she's given purpose by Brittany Murphy.
I don't remember, because I know that I always liked Brittany Murphy, but I wasn't analyzing things quite at that level. And I was watching this scene, I was like, Brittany's excellent, and like she's giving so much to the camera.
Because that's what I was going to say, is if you were to swap the actresses, Shelley is a nothing character, but Brittany Murphy brings something to her. And Nancy is a nothing character that Brittany Murphy could have brought something to, and then Shelley could have been nothing like she's supposed to be. Shelley is like, a device for Dwight to continue on his story.
Well, Shelley is also, if my memory serves, she is the one constant in the Sin City universe.
She meets everyone at the bar.
In every book.
But it's like Jessica Alba could have easily done that, and then Brittany Murphy could have had it. And she already has the big hair, and she's already more busty than Jessica Alba, is like what I'm saying. And I do think Brittany Murphy would have been able to bring depth to Shelley in a way that Jessica Alba can. Nancy.
There's certain scenes, because for instance, it's like, okay, so we open up with probably one of my favorite short films ever. I'm not being for this episode. I love The Customer is Always Right. Ugh. And the story behind it is that Frank Miller was very, very, very passionate about his work. And, I think rightfully so. I think we'll get to the content, the actual content, because I have thoughts on that in a way that I didn't when I was 19.
Yeah, I mean...
Both of us kind of were
Same.
Like, yeesh, to quote the movie a few times. But I think he was protective of his work, rightfully so. And his work is sort of a perfect thing. It is like the perfect version of what it is.
Yeah. Like you can tell, it's like I say it all the time, but you can tell that Frank Miller made the exact thing he wanted to make exactly how he wanted to make it. Mm-hmm. And I always find that impressive.
And so apparently the story was he didn't like the comic adaptations of the time, in particular Dick Tracy. And so he was just like, never. Well,
Dick Tracy's not very good. We'll get there.
We'll get there again, I guess. We're going to recover some stuff at a certain point. So Robert Rodriguez had always wanted to do this. And the only way he was able to convince Frank Miller to do it is by giving him the test footage. And so I think Frank Miller was there. I think he invited him to his ranch in Texas. And he surprised him because Frank Miller was telling the story. And he was like Josh Hartnett and Marley Shelton were just there for the weekend, hanging out. And
just die. Would just simply
and
die.
They just filmed this thing, and this entire movie is filmed in his garage studio.
Yeah,
because they talk about there's a scene anytime that the camera goes up and over the car, they didn't even have a full green screen, so the car was on the car was on a moving platform, and the camera just goes up and then down while the car spins around.
Wow!
So it's that's how limited.
Wow!
And to shout Brittany Murphy out, another holler. We'll get to. I'm sure
we're gonna get to Shelley and Brittany Murphy.
She was on set for one day.
Wow.
So she did all of her material in a 12-hour.
She's such a pro.
She didn't meet Bruce Willis. She didn't meet Mickey Rourke. She didn't Clive Owen as the only other one that she actually met.
Wow.
And that's, I think, a little bit what I mean with the human element is I think because at the time this technology was still so new.
Yeah.
We were so blown away by all of it in a way that I think that just because you can green screen
doesn't mean you have
Mickey Rourke and Jessica Alba into a room together. It might have served Jessica better to have him there with her.
I don't know. He's kind of scary.
Sure. I mean, if you want to talk about top tier acting,
Mickey Rourke,
he has such, and I didn't appreciate it at the time, but it's I think the movie works. I think he's at the top of the movie working.
Yes. Well,
without him or his performance, I don't think the movie would work.
For me, it's him and Bruce Willis
is great.
Specifically. And then I think Rosario Dawson is better than I thought she was at the time.
I think she's mixed. I think she's
mixed, but
I think her performance is uneven.
At the time, I was like, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, get out of this movie. I was like,
did you not like her?
No.
I don't remember that.
I hated Gail in this movie.
I don't remember that.
So it was, for me, it was similar to Tessa Thompson, where I was like, I saw her in a role I didn't think she was suited for, and I didn't like the performance, and I was like, I don't like you. And it took several projects before I was like, oh no, that was just the wrong thing for you. I think Rosario Dawson should have been played by anyone else, someone else.
I think she works best when she's being ferocious, but
yeah,
it like
Clive Owen's pretty good.
He's good. No, he's good. Carla Gugino is good, although she, I think, might be one of our dark horses because she ends up being excellent in ways that I don't think she gets credit for.
And in like almost every movie. I mean, like we watched that stupid movie about the earthquake with The Rock and her, and I was like, Carla Gugino holding this together.
We're gonna get to She Creature at one point. Did I ever make you watch that? It's the mermaid horror film.
But she's not like a mermaid.
No, she's a human.
I think so. No, but I mean, like, the mermaid isn't a mermaid. Thought she was like a monster.
Oh, at the end.
Oh.
No, she's actually a beautiful mermaid.
Oh, okay. Then maybe, but is there a train at some point?
No, they're on a boat. It's basically Carla Gugino and Rufus Sewell, or Sewell, or whatever.
I always say Sewell, but okay.
Anyways, it's a B horror film on purpose.
Sure.
It had a $50,000 budget or $500,000 budget.
Both of those are small.
Yeah, it had a small budget and 2 weeks to film. It was a thing Showtime did over one summer.
Oh, okay.
And they made a series of like schlocky, because that's what Teenage Caveman is from.
Okay, all right.
But She Creature, as I recall, is actually a decent narrative.
Okay.
So I don't know.
We can watch it.
It'll be in one of our mermaid episodes.
Fair enough.
So,
we were talking about The Customer is Always Right. So
well, you were talking about Carla Gugino. Did you finish? You said she was in that movie.
Oh, it just was, but she was holding it together was my point. It was like, that movie is nonsense. And even her performance can't like lift it completely. But she is like, by the strength of her performance alone, is the only one who's like doing anything worthwhile.
So back to The Customer's Always Right. They filmed it. They had a blast. They showed it to Frank Miller and he was like, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what they filmed is what is in the movie.
Oh, they didn't do it again?
No.
Okay.
That was it. That's, I think, one of the reasons why Marley Shelton isn't credited. It had something to do with
how they made it.
Yeah, because Hartnett comes back.
Can we just...
Yes.
For like 45 minutes?
If you let me talk about his unibrow.
Sure.
You guys give me such crap about that.
But that's not what I find attractive about him, but I understand.
I mean, it's one of several things.
So like when did this, 2002, 2003?
5.
Mm-hmm. So I was in college, so I was already well obsessed.
I wasn't quite, he was okay to me. He was fine to me. My Hartnett is Penny Dreadful.
Well, I mean,
he's on the thing. Obviously. The Showtime thing with the hats and the blood.
Obviously, Penny Dreadful is like the top tier, but I was already in love with him from like something even before. Well, The Faculty, Halloween H2O. What's the other one he's in? Oh, the Here on Earth with Lee Sobieski and Chris Klein. So bad. And then Pearl Harbor. And so I was already like neck deep in my obsession for...
Grab a bucket and a mop.
Yeah, grab a bucket and a mop. Macaroni in the pot. So I was already well obsessed, and then I didn't know he was in this because I don't think I don't remember the trailers. Was he in the trailers?
Yeah.
But I also wasn't going to the movies as often then as I am as an adult. So I don't know how often I saw it.
You get that one scene in the beginning and then the one scene in the end.
And I just was like
bookending.
But still I was like, oh my God. And he was like an assassin, and it's just like, whew.
Okay, so that's my favorite thing is it so perfectly sets the aesthetic, the romantic, and the whole tone, the drama tone of it. And my favorite thing is, and I cannot remember if it's you or not, but I had a debate with someone about the scene, and it's why this is so much my favorite, is because who is the customer? Is it her?
Like she paid?
I think she hired him to kill her.
Well, he does have that line where he say, I'll never find out what she was running from. And so maybe she just...
And then he says, I'll cash her check in the morning. And so the way that it goes about it is I think she was like a mobster's girlfriend or something. And she who was like in over her head. And I think she hired an assassin to kill her. And I think she suspects it's him. And when you watch Marley's performance again, in particular, after they kiss. And then they're hugging, and she makes direct eye contact with the camera. She looks directly into the camera lens. Yeah. And it's that sort of thing that is so rare to like, to break the fourth wall like that and not have it
feel clunky. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, because we don't even see it happen, we hear the gunshot and she just goes limp. And he's like, I hold her until the life goes out of her. Yeah. And so it's like he's weirdly comforting her. And she's kind of twitching. It's like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just really... it's really sad and romantic in a way that like the rest of the movie attempts to do that a few times. And they have varying degrees of success between Marv and Goldie and then Hartigan and Nancy.
Yeah, okay, so like I don't have a problem with the Hartigan and Nancy stuff, but it is a little, first of all, they keep on claiming that he's pushing 60. And
that's too old.
At this point, Bruce Willis, I think, was still in his 40s.
No, the 50 I can handle. The 60 is too much because then that implies he's 68 when she's 19. And
it's like, that's not cool.
It's comic. It's like comically.
It is comical. But no, I definitely agree with you. And I think I wonder if it's the type of thing where it was like Robert Rodriguez was so invested in doing this and proving to Frank Miller that he could do this, that he like really, really ramped it up for that scene and was like, this is the thing the part I'm most passionate about, and it's going to be like my test run. And then it was like, you can't bring that level.
Well, I also think the subtlety did it a favor. This is not a subtle movie, and nor did it need to be. I mean, maybe if we were to give another go at it, then you could bring some subtlety into it. Yeah. Because this is heightened upon heightened upon heightened.
Yeah, because like, I don't know that you can bring like a ton of subtlety to this because of how over the top even just the language and stuff is. I think it's hard to make.
And you can't be afraid of it. And you can just tell some of the actors
are scared.
Are afraid of the dialogue in a way that's
Brittany Murphy's not.
No, or Mickey Rourke. Yeah. Like the way that he has to like the old days, the all or nothing days. Yeah. And it just his dynamic with Carla is so good. And it just like, I mean, Carla Gugino has a line in this movie where she goes, Kevin cut off her hand and then ate it in front of her. And she goes, he made me watch. He made me watch! And it's like...
While you're like looking at her bloody stump.
And then it cuts to like Kevin outside, not even looking in the window, just like grinning.
Like,
and it's like...
hearing them?
It is so insane. And it's like, you can't be afraid of that kind of material. Yeah. And
well, because Carla Gugino's not either. And I would say Bruce Willis is like half afraid of it.
It's not so much that he's half afraid of it. I think he's too cool.
Like he's too cool for school?
Yeah,
or you like, just think like Bruce Willis as a person is too cool for this?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, because he's Bruce Willis. He's not Hartigan.
Correct. That's correct.
Because that's the thing, because I had forgotten that he doesn't actually sleep with Nancy.
Yeah.
And whereas it's gross, I mean, I was like...
Sleep with Nancy.
Yeah, I was like, fuck her. I mean, don't get married to her. Like, I was like, she's going to bang other people. Like,
don't get married to her.
But... That's what she wants, according to this.
I know.
And the politics of it, it's like she needs therapy, not because she's.
Well,
like,
I was watching it again, like, when I was 19 and I was watching this, I was like, oh, it's like sort of romantic. Like he rescued her, and like she never forgot him.
I watched 6 seasons of The Girls Next Door without irony.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, it's so sweet. Oh my god! And then now I was watching, and I was like, Nancy needs therapy. Yeah. I was like, this is a hero worship situation. She needs so much therapy. Where is Carla Gugino when you need her? She's dead.
Which that one always hurts. I always forget it's coming until it does. And
I totally forgot.
I mean, she does kind of screw him over. She should know better by that point, but still.
Just let me go appeal to these thugs that were like...
Well, she thinks they're the cops.
Well, they're definitely not cops.
Well, but also the cops are thugs. So, hey, cab. No, and he does say, like, later, Marv is like, that was for Lucille.
Yeah.
And I do love that, because it's like, this is an entire movie predicated around beating women, basically.
It really, really is, but it's... I can't decide if it's because it's so heightened or it's because it's what makes this world operate in some way, but it doesn't bother me the way it does in other stuff.
I think it's those two things. And also, I do think because we were introduced to it younger.
That could be. That's what I was going to say is...
Like, if you stumbled upon this movie, would it leave a bad taste in it? Well, but then there's the whole thing with Old Town. I think
because it's run by the prostitutes, and they are the power in Old Town, and they're basically like armed to the teeth.
But this is also that sort of like thugs beating up dames is like sort of it's a touchstone of the genre. It's like you can't really do this type of thing without that.
Yeah.
And yes, they are very heavy-handed with it, but I do like where the lines are drawn because I love the scene in particular with Marv where he refuses to hurt the dog, like the wolf.
Yeah.
And he literally was like, I'm not wasting bullets on you. My beef is with your owner, not you. And so like Marv very clearly is a good guy.
Sure. So the part for me that actually is the most fascinating in this regard is the Dwight storyline, because he leaves Shelley to go follow after Benicio del Toro, Jackie Boy. But it's very clear that he's not beating Shelley and Jackie Boy is beating her. And then he gets to Old Town, and when he like wallops Gale across the face, but then it's sort of it's
a love tap.
Well, he backhands her. I mean, he backhands her with a closed fist, but the thing for me about that is that it's like a power play dynamic between the two of them.
She's the BDSM
that you can but you can also tell this has happened with them before, and then every single other girl immediately has guns on him, and oh shoot, what's her name? Miho has her sword like locked and loaded, and so it's like,
you want to talk about someone who's good in this movie?
Devon
Aoki. And she doesn't even speak.
No lines.
But she's so good in this movie.
Her and Elijah Wood, God tier acting in this movie.
It really is true, but yeah.
No, I wanted to, which I assumed we'd get there when we talk about the very end, but I actually think Alexis Bledel is really well suited for this.
Yeah, I don't even like her all that much, and she's great in this.
She is very well suited for this type of thing, and she does it. She pulls it off excellently.
Oh, honey, you just gone and done the dumbest sugar. You just gone and done the dumbest thing in your whole life.
Well, the end, her
and even
scene,
the her like trying to like brush him off, and she's like, I work the day shift.
Yeah,
and I've seen all shapes, all sizes.
It's just very good in a way that like, until The Handmaid's Tale came out, I had only ever seen her in Gilmore Girls and The Traveling Pants. And so I was like, when this came out, I was like, oh, she can do something else. And it's obviously very heightened. And it's like, I feel like I could do that. But it's also, I know that I couldn't.
And they all have varying degrees of it, but they kind of have that mid-Atlantic accent, like especially, well, Shelley isn't doing mid-Atlantic, but...
She's a little Jersey.
Yeah.
She's got a little Jersey.
So the thing is, because it was so funny when...
goddamn bastard!
Goddamn fool! It's so good. So the thing... when he was like kissing Gale and you like exclaimed, you were like, what about Shelley?
Yeah.
And what I take from it is that Gale is from his past, so from his first face, and that they're volatile. They're not good for each other. So I think Shelley is his attempt at cleaning up.
Well, he even... Yes, by all means, clean up with the waitress from the strip bar.
Well, because that's what they're what is because Gale calls her something like the chatty barmaid or something like.
Well, he says a thing to Gale about Gale where he's like, that one night when she was mine, and it's just like, so I feel like they weren't together for a long time. I feel like a
lot of one-night stands in Basin City.
A lot of one-night stands. Like, non-stop one night. Like, there's not anything besides a one-night stand.
The Marv and Goldie scene is excellent. And James is another one where it's like, by no means is she doing...
But she suits this.
Okay, so Frank Miller is in love with her.
No shit. Who wouldn't be?
I just remember... So, her name is Jamie King. Well, her name is James King, and I knew her as a model, and so I've always called her that, and I never switched. But
she credits herself as Jamie now. But at this point, I think she was Jamie. She was Jamie because she was James in Pearl Harbor. But that was a few years before.
And so because Frank Miller said in The Spirit, he was like, he literally said, she has a face that soldiers dream of coming home to.
I believe it.
And that's when I realized that he's just like this. Because that sounds like something. Because there are so many doozies.
Like, it sounds like something that Marv would say about Goldie.
There are doozies in this script, many of which work.
Yeah, I would say most. Most of them work.
Yeah, and because you really, we both always got a kick out of she smells like angels ought to smell. Because it's layers.
So also, but Bruce Willis says something about Nancy ought to.
They say ought
to a lot. And so I know what it means, like in the parlance. It's just like, I'll bet she smells like angels smell is like what it means. But she smells like angels ought to smell implies that angels don't smell as good as this human woman. And I'm just
or like he smelled them and was disappointed.
Sure.
That's what I was thinking. There's layers. And because there was a fantastic, I mentioned the Jessica Alba poster, but there was a bunch of posters and each one of them had a tagline. And that is like seared into my psyche. And so it's one of the things we did when we were writing Fairy Tale is in my mind, I would design posters and pull like a quote for them. And I love that. But that was the Goldie poster was she smells like angels ought to smell. Yeah. And it just was really odd to me thinking about sniffing this actress, like this character. And I was just sort of like, where in the scene, it's like, sure.
Keep your nose to yourself. Yeah. Keep your prosthetic nose to yourself, Mickey Rourke.
It is interesting.
Yeah. I forgot about all the prosthetic noses, actually. Because, like, Benicio del Toro has a prosthetic nose, too.
Well, and
it makes him look like a totally different person. It's like, it's a very... Because he's got, like, a kind of a wider nose, like a bridge of his nose and everything. But it's like, they give him, like, a perfect Roman nose. It's, like... kind of insane how much a nose changes your face.
And Elijah Wood, they changed his face.
Did they?
And his jawline.
Like in post?
They widened it. Yeah. Robert was like, he has such a familiar chin and stuff.
I mean, it still looks like.
So they stretched his face a little bit. And that's I think that might be another reason why you find it off-putting when he's looking into the camera.
It's so creepy, but it's also the glare off his glasses that they're always like, almost always just like opaque white and you can't see through them. That's something else.
He has like some kind of like anxiety condition or nervous condition, and he like takes it out on his fingernails.
Oh yeah.
And they made him grow his nails.
Did they?
Were real.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because every time there's a close up on his hands in Lord of the Rings, it's like to the quick.
Yeah, they made him grow his nails for that.
That's hilarious.
I wonder how long that took. God.
I don't know. That was our friend Dustin, who makes our theme song. He was biting his nails really bad, and so he just started painting them. So he wouldn't bite them anymore, and now he just paints his nails. And I was like, get it, Dustin.
I thought about that.
Yeah. He had this, last time I saw him, he had this really good gray color on, and I was like, what is that? What color is that? Because it was really nice.
Like a slate?
Sort of. It was a little lighter than that, but it was nice.
But yeah. Brittany Murphy and Clive Owen together are also so good.
Can we talk about, because we're going to get to Brittany Murphy, we're going to talk about Brittany Murphy, obviously.
Well, we're talking about her now.
Can we talk about Clive Owen?
Sure.
Because, like, he's still a very good-looking man, but I think he's in his 50s now. I forget how hot he was when he, like, burst on the scene.
Well, he's such a, like...
He's got that big actor face.
I was gonna say he's such a specimen, like he's such a this character.
Yes.
Like so when he comes up behind her in this scene, it's like
so good.
And she's just so funny taunting them with the "it's a regular African love fested here."
Well, she just also is like, I got half the Basin City basketball team, and it's just like
I've said it a million times, but she was my Harley Quinn.
She would have been really good.
She would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Like they no shade to Margot. We love Margot here. But
Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, I think.
Margot's done her thing.
I think it's a work of art.
It's the thing. This is for Stefan and Lauren, actually. I never did respond to them.
Did they ask you?
It was the whole Emma Stone could do Harley Quinn, but Margot Robbie couldn't do La La Land.
I don't know.
We were like, no, Emma Stone could do Harley Quinn.
I think Emma Stone could do Harley Quinn.
It would be different, but regardless.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think Brittany Murphy's Harley Quinn would have been something special, but I think we would have had, because of the timing of everything, it would have been in Christopher Nolan's trilogy.
I think she would have been good with Heath.
Well, but that Joker is such an anarchist that he doesn't have, like, people. He's a loner.
Regardless.
I'm done with the Joker. I don't want to see the Joker again
ever
for
again.
15 years at least.
Also, I mean, if, like... And this isn't a joke, but I was going to say, if she hadn't already died, then the role would have killed her.
Well, I mean...
But...
Yeah.
No, she's one of those that I'm not competing, but I was going to say, I genuinely loved her. I'm not adding because of she died and people kind of jump on bandwagons. It's like,
no, I loved her a lot. I mean, I saw Uptown Girls in the theater. I was like,
well, because you found me her poster because they didn't make like prints of her poster from Sin City. And it's also, I think it's the hottest she's ever looked.
Well, it's also like an extra large poster. It's like 24 by 36 instead of.
Well, it's not a proper. It's not a double-sided.
But it is like a Bus Depot poster. Yeah.
And I just like I had it. It was like one of my holy grails. And I even drew a picture of it. I could maybe throw it on.
Do that.
You've like wanted me to.
Yeah, definitely.
She's trying to get me drawing again.
The box of art is in there somewhere. Brittany Murphy, Beauty for the Ages. There, you've already got one done.
Well, I was actually gonna say Marv and Goldie, Love for the Ages.
Sure. Yeah, well, I was gonna say we could do Love for the Ages too, because I was like, Kermit
I'll do the
and Piggy.
bed.
Well, sure, but Kermit and Piggy are like so easy to do for you. So
we did talk about Devon Aoki. It bums me out that like people think like there's actual debates about it, but people think Miho is a Nazi.
What?
Because of the throwing star.
Oh, okay.
But that's like an East Asian like religious symbol. The swastika.
Well, it's backwards. When it's not a swastika, it's like the points go the other way.
Yeah. But she has a swastika throwing star. But I always assumed because it's like a Hindu or like an Asian.
So I've literally never heard this argument before. I don't think she's a Nazi.
Oh.
What the fuck?
Well, there's a little bit because Nicky Cat, he has like a swastika on his head. He's one of the thugs that gets the arrow through it.
Well, I believe the thug is a Nazi.
No, I just wanted to say, because I always thought it was interesting that she had the throwing star. And I just love Deadly Little Miho. I also love the shot because they did it on set. It was like not in the script, but he like filmed her with her face just normal. And then he had her close her eyes and splattered her with blood. And they composited them because that had never been done before.
Yeah.
Like in the samurai movies and stuff. But
at this point in my life, like I understand what you were saying, especially about the human quality of this movie and how like it could have benefited from having Mickey Rourke and Jessica Alba in a room together. However, I, in my mind, can't divorce this movie from the time it came out and how I felt about it at the time and how crazy and wild and like special and different it was at the time. Like
I
it's
still
hard.
Love it. I noticed a few things that I could be.
It's hard for me to be like, to like really criticize it because I remember how it felt watching this for the first time when I was not quite 20. And like that's what sticks with me always is how interesting it was at the time.
It is weird because we did mention, and I think we mentioned already in this recording, that a lot of the content did sort of wash over me when I was younger.
There's a lot of graphic imagery. Well, like evocative graphic language.
Yeah.
And it evokes very specific images in your mind.
Slashing to ribbons. I was like...
To shreds, you say.
But, you know, I think, especially when presented in this movie, I think it is so obviously a work of fiction.
Yeah.
It is so obviously fantasy. And they do even have the comparison in the movie where they Dwight's talking about Marv. And he was like... They'd have thrown girls like Nancy at him back in the Gladiator days and stuff. And that's sort of what it like, because this doesn't really have a time period. You don't really know when and where this takes place. So,
no, I mean, like the feel of it, I would say is like no later than the early 90s.
Well, I think the feel of it is like the 40s.
Well, but there's like some technology, but not enough technology. And
a hard top with a decent engine and make sure it's got a big trunk.
We should watch more Clive Owen movies.
Okay.
I just want to look at him.
But yeah, there's like Michael Clark Duncan, Rutger Hauer, Michael Madison, Nick Offerman is in this, as we discovered.
Tommy Flanagan. I love Tommy Flanagan. We talked about him in our Westworld coverage. Did we cover Westworld? Okay.
Oh, well, we talked with Pod Clubhouse about
That's right. I was like, I remember recording myself talking about Westworld, but we're like 300 episodes in now, and it's becoming difficult to remember.
So it does feel like separate stories woven together. And I think the having the bar, having Katie's at the center, and also going ahead and making that an actual set piece, I think helped.
Well, for me, too, it feels, and I think purposefully, and because they're friends, it feels Tarantino-y in that instance. It's got a Pulp Fiction type of quality.
Well, and because Tarantino actually directed the scene.
With Benicio in the car, yeah.
Because it's really indulgent. That's when I went and laid down.
Pretty indulgent.
I was like, I've seen this scene. Look, I'm good. I like Tarantino.
I love Tarantino's movies. That being said, he is indulgent. I definitely 100% not arguing that. But that's the kind of thing that I like about it, is that it is all interwoven and it's not, you know, in sequence and everything. It's like, I think it makes it more interesting, which is why when you told me that they have just like the 4 stories separately, I was like, gross. Like, why?
That's how you would read them.
Well, sure. But I think cinematically it works better having them intertwined the way they are.
Well, because also, I mean, we don't watch them one after another. They are sort of woven.
Yeah. And I mean, comic books are such a different medium that, like, obviously I would.
This is like a rare kind of shot for shot medium jump that worked.
It does.
That doesn't always.
It does work pretty well.
Watching this, especially the times when they're referencing each other, like when Gail's talking about like the chatty barmaid. I know we say this all the time, and so I feel like it loses some of its oomph. But this is one of the things that I actually really wish was a TV show.
Ooh.
I think it should be special. Like, I think it should be on cable or something, and it should be not necessarily event television.
But I would think like 10 episodes and then call it quits.
Well, I would even say like
6 or 8.
Yeah. Or maybe like 2 or 3 seasons of like 6 episodes or something. But I just it's so established that the characters are interconnected.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you could stretch that out a little bit more and mine it a little bit more, it would be really, because like I said, I mean, there would only be a handful of them that would be in every story.
Right.
And people would kind of come in and come out. And it's like, you could have set up like the Nancy storyline in episode 1 and paid it off in episode 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
or even you could have one overarching thing for all 3 seasons and really start out with Nancy as a child, and in season 3 Nancy's an adult, and have that go the whole span.
But no, I think it would be really interesting, and I don't know if you would do new material or just adaptations, or I mean, Frank Miller is very protective of his work, so I don't know if you could just come in and fan fiction it up. But
I'm sure there is a buttload of fan fiction for this.
We might cover the second one. It's not very good. It's not. I've only watched it once or twice, so I don't quite remember. But it was one of those like too little, too late things.
Well, it was like 10 years later.
Yeah, and so I think it was like 2015. So we might do like the 300 sequel and the Sin City sequel, because those are good bedfellows. But
I could watch it. And you said they both have Eva Green. Yeah,
in a pivotal role.
I love Eva Green. We're talking about just people that we love.
So I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I feel like there should be, but we have been going for a minute.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty much, it's great. I think it holds up. I think it's good. I'm glad we watched
the music.
Again.
Robert Rodriguez did everything. He did the music. He's
good at that. He does the music for most of his stuff.
He scored a few things too.
Like, didn't he score Planet Terror?
Yes.
I think he did. We should do Grindhouse.
Well, and I have a friend who's worked with him. Well, I worked with a girl who's worked with him. We were friends when we worked together, but she spilled some secrets. She was telling me stuff about how he does everything. Yeah. She was like, he has this woman who's like a seamstress that she's like the costume designer, but she was like, it's him.
And she's just sewing it.
Yeah. And yeah, it was cool. She talked about like how fun his like studio was and how crazy like.
Well, he came from like really, really low budge stuff. So I believe that he was like wearing all the hats and he just hasn't quit wearing all the hats. All right. Well, as always, you can follow us on Twitter at So I'm Watching, Instagram at So I'm Watching This Show. We also have the website, soimwatching.com, which links out to everything. And if you are by chance watching this on YouTube, we're still not sure exactly what's happening with these test videos. You can hit the subscribe button, which I've been told is right down here. And then you can rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or YouTube or wherever you listen. And that's it for us.